So there's not a week that goes by that I don't end up talking with an athlete or coach about the metabolic issues, which are partially or wholly due to the overconsumption of concentrated forms of carbohydrates. Now, just today, I was talking with a triathlon coach about his athlete. He said she claimed that she had chronic fatigue syndrome, and he didn't believe her. But after I explained to him how chronic fatigue syndrome develops and how it's real and how it happens on a mitochondrial level, at a cellular level, he started to understand how big a role carbs play in the development of CFS in endurance athletes. So it really comes down to this. It's not a question of if you're going to have a health challenge due to all those carbohydrates you're consuming. It's a matter of when and what form. Remember that. Not a question of if, it's when. For most of human existence, humans consumed concentrated forms of carbohydrates 3 to 5 times a year. These were brief times, a few days when fruit was ripe, or berries were ripe, or tubers were ripe, or we found honey. We weren't consuming them 3 to 5 times a day for decades like we do now. So, while our bodies are made to consume carbs, they're not made to do it on a chronic basis, and certainly not in the massive amounts that we do today. If you're an athlete who's been following a more traditional, higher carb, lower fat dietary and fueling regimen, and you are considering making that switch to fat as fuel, it's important to first get educated, to know what's ahead, to know where those bumps are on the road, and realize that through some tools that we have in our program, we can help mitigate those bumps and help get you through that transition. And why is that? Well, when you actually do make that transition, that first step, which what we call the hard reset, you're taking away the energy source your body's gotten used to using and adapted to using. And by taking it away, you need to have that time frame. It's going to take some time to make that shift to be able to access the energy source you want to get to, and that's fat. There's some profound shifts in hormonal balance. One of the main things is insulin levels have to come down so that you have low insulin, high insulin sensitivity, and balance that out with the hormones and enzymes needed to upregulate higher levels of beta oxidation, to upregulate ketosis, and even upregulate glucagon, a hormone that helps your liver produce glucose. Yes, glucose in sustainable levels when you're fat adapted. So there's this profound shift, and like I said, you're taking away the energy source you are adapted to, but during that time frame, you can't access the energy, that limitless energy that you're trying to get to. Now, how long can that take? Well, in an aerobically fit athlete, it can be 2 to 3 days of kind of feeling off, but to somebody who's really addicted to carbs, it can be 2 to 3 weeks of really struggling, and that first week can be hell. And I'm not trying to paint a negative picture. I want people to realize that they're in for a change, and change is hard. And sometimes change is very hard, but change is worth it. And you need to realize these physiological things are going to happen to you. But more so, you have to wrap your head around it. You have to embrace the idea and commit to the idea that fat really is your aerobic fuel source. And by committing to this, you'll be able to make that leap, because as we see with so many athletes, especially in this ultra endurance sphere, the mind is more powerful than the body, and people can will themselves under the most demanding circumstances where their body is given up. They can go on and go beyond. And so if you're one of these carb athletes who's done Ironmans and suffered through them and willed yourself across the finish line, you know what that's like. You have the ability to will yourself through that transition if you wrap your head around it and think of it in those terms. So once again, get yourself educated. We have some great tools that are available to kind of prep you for that idea and to get you to see why being in that state of burning fat to fuel is not only going to get you to perform better, but give you lifelong health benefits, because this is the way nature intended us to be. Thanks very much.